At the company's annual meeting, I had my promotion opportunity snatched away by an intern. Later, when I confronted manager Huang to reason with him, he publicly pointed at my face and humiliated me. The industry is struggling, and you're the only one in the entire company with the best performance. Who knows how you got your clients? I've had stomach bleeding from drinking too much and ended up in the hospital in the middle of the night. I've forced a smile while serving arrogant and greasy corporate bosses, but none of that felt as humiliating as this. My ex-boyfriend watched me in schadenfreude, holding the intern's hand as they planned a celebration party. Before leaving, he sneered at me. Yo-Yo is the daughter of the CEO of the Chu Group. Once her probation ends, she'll inherit the conglomerate. And who do you think you are? I frowned in confusion. Wasn't I the heir of the Chu Group? Wasn't Zhao Qian supposed to get the promotion? How did even a rookie intern who just joined the company manage to leapfrog ahead of her? She looked so confident before, popping champagne midway and treating the whole office to coffee. I really thought it was a done deal. Turns out, she's just a clown. The voices of all kinds of gossip made me want to escape. Chu Yu looked at me and, holding a microphone, said, "The reason I got promoted is entirely thanks to Sister Zhao's care. If it weren't for you making me stay up all night writing proposals, sending me out in heavy rain to buy coffee, and forcing me to bow and scrape to apologize, I wouldn't have made it to where I am today." Ignoring her sarcastic tone, I pushed past the layers of obstruction and confronted Manager Huang. Chu Yu is just an intern. She doesn't even know the most basic negotiation skills. How could she suddenly become a team leader? I've been with the company for 6 years. My performance record is the best, and my experience is unmatched. So why was she the one promoted? I still remember how, in order to close a big deal, I drank until I had stomach bleeding and was rushed to the hospital in the middle of the night, only to be back at work the next day, relying on stomach medicine, smiling as I attended drinking engagements again. I willingly signed a high-risk performance agreement and worked straight through from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., relentlessly pushing myself to close deals. These grueling efforts have left me riddled with chronic illnesses. Now that the task is complete, the entire team got a bonus of 100,000 yuan each because of me. So, why was Chu Yu promoted over me? Faced with my question, Manager Huang frowned and replied, "You've been in the company for 6 years without a promotion. Maybe you should reflect on yourself. Constantly questioning me isn't going to help, you know? And as for Xiao Chu, she never brags about her efforts. That's the difference between you two." I was stunned by his word. And hadn't even processed them when Manager Huang spoke again, his face filled with disdain towards me. With a malicious smile on his face, he stepped closer to me, his gaze as slimy and suffocating as a snake coiling tightly around its prey. "Besides, everyone knows your good performance is due to your chaotic personal life, right? You trade your body for resources to please the big shots. This is an open secret, isn't it? Not long ago, you were so tormented by President Wang that you couldn't even get out of bed and had to take a sick day. Even Xiao Liang wanted to break up with you. Our company certainly doesn't promote this kind of toxic behavior." Xiao Liang was my ex-boyfriend, Liang Zhao, who was also my office romance partner. Now that Manager Huang mentioned it, he suddenly popped up from the corner and joined the conversation. Zhao Jia isn't that kind of person. Even though she stays out until the middle of the night, drinks with clients behind my back, and even gives clients her original underwear, she's still a good girl. The colleagues watching the scene immediately started gossiping about me when they heard the word underwear. Liang Zhao's words quickly struck a chord with everyone. Salesman Wang said it's no wonder I always have kiss marks on my body. Manager Huang said it's no wonder I always close the most deals and have the best performance. And Chu Yu said it's no wonder Sister Zhao is so experienced. I was drowning in speculation as tears began to roll down from my lashes. Choking back tears, I tried to explain. It was raining that time, and my clothes got drenched. The client kindly let me change in his office. But in truth, I had been set up. The client used the excuse of letting me change to secretly hide my underwear. And in the end, I had to call the police to get them back. However, I didn't dare bring it up. I only dared to cry and complain to Liang Zhao for comfort. But now, in this moment, I had become a joke. I desperately wanted to explain, but no one wanted to listen. They just gathered around me, gossiping about me. Chu Yu even mocked me by bringing up my recent illness. How could a stomach illness be that severe? I think she must have had an abortion and didn't dare to admit it. Who knows whose bastard it was? I glared at Chu Yu with fierce anger, feeling nothing but disgust as her smiling eyes met mine. Some time ago, I worked overtime late into the night to keep up with a project for Hengyu Group, which led to a worsened stomach condition and a subsequent hospital stay. In just one night, Chu Yu somehow managed to take advantage of the situation and offer herself to the client through the internet. The client was so harassed by her incessant pestering that they ultimately decided to cancel our deal. Before leaving, they even admonished me. Is that intern of yours addicted to trashy soap operas? The moment she saw me, she poured red wine all over me. I've gone through over 30 shirts and more than 10 pairs of pants because of her. Someone so unprofessional should be kicked out as soon as possible. I relayed his words to Chu Yu, advising her not to go down the wrong path. But she glared at me with tears in her eyes, raising her voice in anger. I think you're just jealous that I'm younger than you. A washed-up old woman, like you couldn't even sell yourself if you wanted to. In the past, I always thought she was just young and naive, unaware of the ways of the world. So I didn't hold it against her and cleaned up her messes behind the scenes. Even when she didn't know how to use the printer, I patiently taught her over and over again. Turns out, she really believed that I became some big boss's mistress to secure contracts and even had an abortion for it. I sneered, gently brushing past the colleagues standing in front of her, and reached out to help straighten her collar. Little Chu, speculating about me doesn't make you look noble. If I were the team leader, I wouldn't let you pass the probation period. Chu Yu retorted anxiously. But right now, I'm the team leader. Someone like you, who can't even operate a printer, drives away clients, loses the company tens of millions in contracts, and makes me take the blame. What exactly qualifies you to be a team leader? Chu Yu was so angered by my accusations that her eyes turned red. She sniffled and took a step back. Naturally, someone stood up to speak for her. Liang Zhao pulled her into his arms protectively, his face full of reproach directed at me. How can you talk to team leader Chu like that? If you don't want to work, just say so. He held Chu Yu and comforted her gently, wiping away her tears, while his gaze toward me was filled with indifference. Salesman Wang eagerly jumped in to confront me. Zhao Jia, you made mistakes and botched projects when you first joined the company. Don't act like you're the most capable person in the world. Even manager Huang, who never bothers to explain himself, spoke up for Chu Yu. All right, let it go when you can. Yu is younger and smarter than you. If you still want to stay in this company, don't upset your direct superior. Suppressing the emotions that I could no longer control, I tried to leave. But suddenly, Chu Yu reached out and grabbed my arm. She looked at me with her reddened eyes. Sister Zhao, did I allow you to leave? If you insist on a reason, it's because this company is a subsidiary of the Chu Group, and my father is the chairman of the Chu Group. If you still want to stay in the company, you'll have to apologize to me. I frowned and asked Chu Yu. Your dad is the chairman of the Chu Group. Then do you know what the chairman's name is? My grandfather's last name is Chu, and my grandmother's last name is Zhao. So my dad's name is Chu Zhao. As for me, my name was derived using my grandmother's surname, which often leads to people unfamiliar with the story asking about its origin. As soon as I spoke, the once arrogant Chu Yu was instantly speechless. She stammered, unable to say a word, especially since there were plenty of clients present who had partnerships with the Chu Group. I let out a cold chuckle. How can there be a daughter who doesn't even know her own father's name? I'd say you're a fake, aren't you? She wept, tears flowing down her face like a jeweled stream, each drop falling on her scarf like little pearls. Sister Zhao, you can accuse me of stealing your clients, blame me for not being as experienced as you, but you cannot insult my father. Even more so, I would never reveal his privacy just to let someone scheming get what they want. I was so shocked by her fake acting skills that I took several steps back. Just as I was about to reveal my identity and fiercely slapped Chu Yu in the face, I remembered the passionate promise I made when I left home. Chu Yu wasn't wrong. Chu family wasn't looking for an armchair strategist to inherit the mantle. And so, my father stripped away my privileges and sent me to the branch office for an internship, demanding I achieve a modest goal within 10 years. Over these years, I've worked hard, not just for promotions and pay raises. I will stand at the Chu Corporation's annual meeting on my own merits as the newly appointed leader of a branch office. In the end, I compromised and slightly bowed to her in an attempt to calm things down. But as I straightened up, I accidentally bumped into Chu Yu. She suddenly let out a loud cry, bent her leg backward, and clutched her stomach. My stomach, my stomach. Sister Zhao, you're truly too much. I kindly came over to help you, but you bumped into me. I'm even carrying a baby in my belly. This cry was like ripples spreading across a calm lake, giving justification to her previously unconvincing accusation. Wang, the sales rep, approached me menacingly, moved behind me, and pressed on my knees, trying to force me to kneel. Unable to dodge, I fell flat on my back on the spot, landing heavily on the ground with soreness throughout my body. What are you pretending for? Even after bumping into Leader Chu, who's pregnant, nothing happened to her. What if something happens to the baby? Can you take responsibility for that? I refused to kneel, stubbornly propping myself up without moving, and was forced to half-lie there in humiliation, being gazed at condescendingly by Chu Yu. She feigned a concerned exclamation, pretending to help me up, but withdrew her hand halfway. I can forgive Sister Zhao, but I need an apology. Everyone around was praising her for being kind, and in order to cooperate with her, they even deliberately pinned me to the ground, preventing me from moving or saving myself. Feeling restraints on my body, my heart was overwhelmed with a bitter ache. These are the colleagues I've treated generously over the years, with whom I've shared a bond like family. Yet now, they've become knives stabbing straight into my heart. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed Manager Huang quietly joining in. His guilty eyes avoided mine, yet his hands didn't stop their actions. But 3 years ago, when his house caught fire and he was trapped, it was me who risked my life to rush in and save him. Choking back tears, I told everyone present, I will not apologize, and I will never apologize. There's surveillance at the scene. If you continue to lay hands on me, I'll call the police and press charges. What you're doing is forcing a false confession. But from that day on, my position in the company became precarious. The company break room turned into the birthplace of gossip about me, countless rumors emerging there. Whenever I walked past the break room, I could always hear those infuriating whispers, like rats sneaking food. Every unclear word or sound, no matter its volume, invades my nightmares and jolts me awake in the middle of the night. There are too few microwaves in the company cafeteria, so we often need to wait in line to heat our food. But every time I queue up, my lunch mysteriously disappears. They don't dare to poison my food, but they will throw away my lunch and takeout meals. Even if I catch them red-handed, they will deny it to the end. Oh, sorry, I didn't know it was yours. I thought it was my lunch. So what if you miss a meal or two? It's not like you'll starve to death. It's not just my lunch. Even my clients are inexplicably snatched away. Clients I had negotiated with the day before are taken over by them in every possible way the very next day. My performance started to decline, and Manager Huang publicly scolded me in a morning meeting. If you can do the job, then do it. If you can't, get out. The company doesn't support freeloaders. On the night of Chinese New Year's Eve, I was locked inside the company. Leaning helplessly against the company's glass wall, I gazed down the pitch-black hallway. My stomach churned and waves of nausea made me want to vomit. Today was supposed to be a day of reunion. My family is waiting for me to go back home, but now I can't summon the energy to return. Even though my phone has battery and the company has internet, a single phone call would let me leave. But over this period, I've been drained of all strength. After the new year, I submitted my resignation to Manager Huang. Within just half a day, Manager Huang uncovered the truth about my being stranded on New Year's Eve and finally approached me alongside Sales Representative Wang, who looked guilty. Sales Representative Wang grudgingly apologized to me and had half a year of their bonus deducted as compensation for me. Xiao Zhaoyur, a key employee of the company. If you face any difficulties in the future, come to me directly. Don't talk about resigning anymore. I said nothing, nor did I take back my resignation letter. But things were far from over. I was being watched. After countless instances of hiding, I chose to confront the danger head-on. Holding a rock I casually picked up from the roadside in my hand, I waited for the person tailing me to show up. Sales Representative Wang had ditched her usual formal suit and skirt for a hip-hop outfit and hysterically yelled at me. It's all your fault. I was just joking around with you. So why did you steal my bonus? That was my dad's life-saving money. His early-stage cancer was still treatable, but now, because of you, he's going to die. Wang, the saleswoman, had reddened eyes and was emotionally agitated as she walked toward me. She held a baseball bat in her hand and swung it straight at my head. I turned and ran outside, trying to make it to the main road to seek help, but the person behind me wouldn't give up and kept chasing. Suddenly, my steps faltered, and my calves gave out as I lost control and fell to the ground. Wang yelled at me to go to hell. Helpless, I closed my eyes, bracing for the pain to come, but unexpectedly, a pair of fair and strong arms suddenly held me tightly. The scent lingered at the tip of my nose. I glanced sideways but could only see long, curled eyelashes and familiar features. It was Chu Yu who had saved me. She held my hand and led me to a quiet alley, panting heavily as she asked if I got hurt. Salesman Wang was fired for taking kickbacks. If you go out now, you're doomed. Just wait here for me. I'll help you distract her. Before I could respond, she tugged at the hem of her skirt and left. Not far away, the sounds of conversation could indeed be heard. But why would Chu Yu save me? While I was deep in thought, a group of vagrant men with lecherous eyes suddenly appeared at the mouth of the alley. This alley was a dead end. As I kept retreating, there was no escape. When I looked past the group of vagrants, I saw Chu Yeo holding up her phone, filming my humiliating predicament while talking to someone on the screen. Turns out there really are people this foolish, offending me yet still trusting me? Since you're my ex-boyfriend, do you have anything to say about this situation? In the end, a passerby called the police, but I was left with a lifetime of trauma. The alley had no surveillance, so the vagrants just dusted themselves off and left. A passerby carried me to the hospital to check my condition. Only after confirming I wasn't injured did they advise me not to go out at night. The next day, I came down with a high fever, but I forced myself to go to the office anyway. I needed to expose Chu Yu face to face. However, as soon as I entered the company, I saw Chu Yu crying and complaining. In Manager Huang's office, when she saw me walk in, she wiped her tears and immediately fell silent. But much to my surprise, when Manager Huang saw me, his face instantly darkened. Pointing at me in frustration, he cursed, "I know you don't like Yu, but she's pregnant, for heaven's sake. She's a delicate woman who needs protection. How could you be so malicious and set a vagrant to harm her? Are you even human?" Chu Yu shrank her shoulders pitifully, nestling into Liang Zhao's embrace. Her gaze darted around like a frightened little deer. Without saying a word, she left Manager Huang to pull out his phone and threatened to call the police. "I don't think you need to stay at this company anymore. You've offended the daughter of the Chu Group's chairman, and even if the chairman comes, I won't be able to shield you. Now, pack your things and get out of here immediately." He furiously cleared my workstation with a single push, and my cup and fan were violently smashed to the ground, shattered into worthless trash. Only Liang Zhao held me back. This time, he didn't demand an apology from me, but immediately asked for compensation. "You scared Yuyo, and now she can't eat or sleep properly day and night. You must pay the price. You've made so much money over the years. 1 million shouldn't be much for you, right? Consider this as compensation for Yuyo's emotional distress, and we'll leave it at that." I was so angry I laughed. Just yesterday, Chu Yuyo had blatantly video called him. How could he not know the truth? Isn't it just because they think I'm easy to bully, that I have no one backing me up? I sneered coldly and shook off his arm. I was just about to expose the truth when a sudden cry came from the doorway. "Someone from the Chu group has arrived." I turned my head to look behind me and immediately saw my cousin, Chu Tianyao, hurrying over with an anxious expression. Chu Tianyao strode towards me with his long legs, step by step. "Zhao Jia, why are you here?" Liang Zhao was overjoyed, glaring at me smugly and showing off. "The Chu Corporation has come to stand up for Yu. If you're unwilling to pay compensation, get ready to go to jail." Everyone in the company wore expressions of varying degrees of excitement, all waiting eagerly for me to be properly dealt with. Although Chu Tianyao shares the Chu surname, he and I have never gotten along since we were kids. His father is merely an adopted son of the Chu family with no inheritance rights, so he has resented me since childhood. I never expected that, in my moment of crisis, the one who came to save me would actually be him. I was just about to speak, ready to pour out all the torment I'd endured during this time. But to my shock, Chu Tianyao looked at me coldly and ruthlessly slapped me across the face. The crisp sound of the slap echoed as he glared at me through gritted teeth. "Yu is the distinguished daughter of the Chu Corporation. How dare you bully her?" Chu Yu immediately beamed with joy, clinging to him and swaying his arm playfully as she acted coy. "Brother, come help me quickly. Is this audacious lowlife trying to harm me and sully my innocence?" Her words left me completely dumbfounded, my mind blank, starting to doubt whether I was experiencing memory confusion. Everyone gathered around him with fawning smiles, trying to leave an impression on him. Some even turned against me completely to win his favor, spitting at me. "Zhao Jia, if you still want to survive in this circle, you'd better obediently admit your mistakes soon. Once venomous words are spoken, there's no possibility of taking them back." I looked around at everyone present, committing their ugly faces to memory one by one. After that, I strode straight toward Chu Tianyao. In front of everyone, I grabbed him by the collar and returned the slap he gave me. Chu Tianyao looked at me in shock, covering his face, and leaned in close to whisper in my ear, "Aren't you trying to hide your identity? I'm helping you." But I gritted my teeth and responded loudly, enunciating each and every word. "Anyway, I'm not planning to stay in this company anymore, so what's there to be afraid of saying?" Previously, I was afraid of exposing my identity. But now, with my gaze locked on a Chu Yu, who appeared guilty and was trying to hide in Chu Tianyao's arms, hatred spread from the depths of my heart. Seeing my aggressive stance, Chu Yu arrogantly raised her head and widened her eyes, asking, "How dare you? Do you even know who this is, and you still dare to hit him? He's just a dog raised by the Chu group. Why wouldn't I dare to hit him? And it's not just him. I'll hit you too. I pulled a short stick from behind me and quickly moved past the crowd, walking directly in front of her. Chu Yu, terrified, stepped back while clutching her stomach and cursing. I'm the eldest daughter of the Chu family. I'm pregnant. How dare you lay a hand on me? I wouldn't lay a hand on her, but that didn't mean I wouldn't deal with those who had bullied me. So, I pulled out my phone and made a call. Moments later, several tall and burly men appeared, escorting 2 or 3 disheveled homeless people to stand before me. I used a stick to lift their filthy, messy hair and shouted sternly, "Look carefully and tell me, is there anyone here who ordered you to do this?" The homeless men trembled in fear of my words and quickly pointed in unison at Chu Yu, who was hiding in Chu Tianyao's arms, and said, "It's her. She's the one who gave us money and wanted us to bully you. We're innocent." They tried to deny it further, but the bodyguards I had hired kicked them over mercilessly, making them whimper and beg for mercy. Chu Yu adamantly denied the accusation, crying as she questioned me. "Sister Zhao, what's the meaning of this? Yesterday, you clearly told them to bully me. How can you twist the truth now?" Chu Yu refused to admit anything, demanding I provide evidence. Between the lines, she even used her identity as the heiress of the Chu family to intimidate me, failing to notice that Chu Tianyao had remained silent ever since I slapped him. I chuckled coldly and said, "Evidence? Then what evidence do you have to prove you impersonated me and claim to be the heiress of the Chu group? Why don't we let young Master Chu speak?" Chu Tianyao didn't dare to offend me. Just as he was about to speak, he was interrupted by Liang Zhao's arrogant laughter. He glanced at me disdainfully and mocked the slightly torn clothes I was wearing. Wearing shabby clothes that sell for $10 for 2 pieces on the streets, scrounging for trash bags, and living in a rented apartment while eating shared meals. I've never seen a princess like this before. Liang Zhao knew me well and wasted no time exposing my frugal spending habits in front of everyone. But what he didn't know was that all of this was intentional on my part. I joined the company to gain experience, not to strut on a runway. Is there anything wrong with dressing simply to blend in? Moreover, the place I live in is an old property in the heart of the city, something I bought outright with my own money. It's far from being a shabby rental. When I explained that I was doing this as part of my development, none of them believed me. Liang Zhao, in particular, was utterly obnoxious, clapping and laughing as he sarcastically praised me for being a great storyteller. Manager Huang, influenced by his behavior, frowned and scolded me with a look of disappointment as if I were a hopeless cause. There should be a limit to lying. You've been with the company for 6 years. Do you think I don't know you by now? Hurry up and apologize to Yo-Yo. Once you're done, get lost immediately. His focus remained on hosting Chu Tianyao, yet Chu Tianyao snuck a glance at me, blinked at me with a pure and innocent look. Chu Yo-Yo became even more righteous and confident as she hooked her arm around Chu Tianyao's. "Brother, please say something for me. This wicked woman scared me so badly that I've suffered pregnancy complications." I watched as Chu Tianyao, his face full of concern, tenderly touched Chu Yo-Yo's belly. Meanwhile, Liang Zhao, his face dark as night, grabbed Chu Yo-Yo's arm roughly. All I could think was how incredibly entertaining this drama was. Since I've decided to abandon any hesitation, I came fully prepared today. I clapped my hands, signaling the bodyguards to step back. Instantly, a group of well-trained white lab coat professionals stormed into the company. Just a few minutes ago, Chu Yu was clutching her stomach and crying out in pain, saying she might have disturbed her pregnancy. None of the colleagues dared attack, irresponsibility, or oppose her. Liang Chao escorted Chu Yu onto the ambulance, holding her hand tightly and staying by her side the entire time without even sparing me a glance. Chu Yu, however, kept struggling and yelling, saying she didn't want to go to the hospital, but I refused to listen. "It's my fault that I caused you to disturb your pregnancy. If you want an apology, you have to at least give me a chance to make it up to you." She was too weak to resist, and soon she was pushed into the examination room. Meanwhile, I received Chu Yu's medical examination report. But what I didn't expect was that, in addition to the news of her pregnancy, there was a bombshell waiting for me. Cancer? Chu Yu's eyes widened as she stared at the words on the report, so close that her face was practically glued to the paper. She started yelling at me, cursing furiously. "Failing to steal my identity wasn't enough for you, and now you're trying to trick me again? I won't fall for your lies." Chu Yu, in a fit of rage, smashed and destroyed the arrangements in the hospital room, unable to accept the situation. How could I possibly be in the late stages of cancer? That's impossible. I'm just simply pregnant, and that's why I'm feeling unwell. After receiving an explanation from the doctor, Chu Yu stopped questioning me. Instead, she stared silently into the corner, and within less than half a minute, she fainted. The news of her illness spread quickly. Within half a day, all her colleagues at the company had heard about it. Many of them came to visit Chu Yuyu to varying degrees, but in the end, the one who stayed by her side was Liang Zhao. I watched in the hospital room as he fetched foot-washing water for Chu Yuyu, ran around paying her medical bills, and even put his work on hold to take care of her full-time. I clapped my hands from the side and sighed. Truly, hard times reveal true feelings. Yet when you were dating me, it was always, my hand is broken, my leg is broken. And I even had to serve you while you ate. Liang Zhao shot me a vicious glare, then turned his head back to reassure her. You don't listen to her. My feelings for you are genuine. If you can't get through this, I'll take care of your pets for you. I'll stay at your house and wait for your return. Stay at her house? Isn't that just coveting Chu Yuyu's property? I accidentally voiced what I was thinking, and Liang Zhao angrily snapped at me. Shut up. He was displeased after I exposed him, but was wary of the burly bodyguards at my side. Looking at Chu Yuyu's pale face, my smile grew even brighter. Don't worry, I'm not here today to kick you while you're down. In fact, I'm bringing you good news. I've been promoted and sent back by headquarters to be the general manager of the company. Lucky you. Since we know each other, I'll make sure to take good care of you all. As soon as I finished speaking, Liang Zhao stared at me in disbelief. Regret and doubt flickered in his eyes. In the end, he swallowed his words of anger and forced a flattering smile at me. Chu Yuyu, however, didn't look pleased. She threw a pillow at me and hysterically screamed for me to get out. I strutted out of the hospital and immediately saw Chu Tianyao holding a bouquet, his head lowered, trying to avoid me. He glanced at me with guilt, walking along the wall the entire time, but I still stopped him. Cousin, you're my great benefactor. I haven't even properly thanked you yet for helping me hide my identity. My dad had already figured it out. Chu Yuyu was a pawn he arranged to impersonate me and force me to give up my inheritance rights. Fortunately, my dad felt sorry for me and decided to give me one last chance. Chu Tianyao's schemes were exposed, and he was kicked out of the company early on. Now, after being stopped by me, he handed the bouquet to me again, pleading, Jia, my dear sister, I was doing this to help you. If it weren't for me, would you have been able to complete your trial so quickly and return to the company? Although you've suffered some grievances, it was all tough love to spur you on. You can't bite the hand that feeds you. He wanted me to let him return to his position, but I refused outright. Perhaps my father kicking you out of the company is his way of lovingly pushing you forward? Cousin, you can't have it both ways. After saying that, I left, deliberately bumping his shoulder as I walked past. When I turned my head, I met his dark, brooding gaze, but he quickly changed his expression to a flattering smile directed at me. Feeling satisfied, I returned to the company and headed straight to the general manager's office. As soon as I sat down, Manager Huang rushed in to apologize, holding a huge bouquet of red roses in his hands. President Zhao, I always knew you were innocent. A natural-born leader like you absolutely belongs in this position. His attitude toward me in the past was nothing like this. When I sealed big deals, he would show a mix of 3 parts indifference, 3 parts mockery, and 4 parts disinterest. Climbing up by using your body sure seems easy. Why not sign a few more deals? Having trouble keeping up? When I wanted to share my bonus with my team members, he would make snide remarks. Your colleagues probably don't want that kind of dirty money. They feel disgusted just holding it. I said he also deserved some credit, and Manager Huang immediately changed his expression, praising me for being generous. It's because I lead well that my subordinates are disciplined and obedient. Now that I've become his direct superior, Manager Huang has done a complete 365-degree turnaround of his attitude, shamelessly flattering me. He compliments my beauty, praises my fashion sense. Even after I finish eating my takeout, I can hear him sighing wistfully from outside. Haven't seen President Zhao eat so cleanly in a long time. I need to learn from you. Manager Huang follows behind me like a lackey, and my colleagues cast puzzled glances my way. Sister Zhao, you're back already? What kind of powerful connections do you have? Quite a few people gather around to ask me, but I just smile without answering. The company is currently divided into 2 factions. One led by Manager Huang, made up of sycophants who blindly flatter me, and the other consisting of those who believe in Chu Yuyu's heir status, waiting for her imminent return to wreak havoc on everyone. Zhao Jia, you're utterly despicable for framing Miss Chu, the daughter of the Chu family. The chairman will definitely make sure you pay with your life alongside hers. What gives you the right to come back? Don't think you're so great just because of your high performance. Once the chairman intervenes, you won't even be able to clean up the mess for yourself. They walked up to me, pointing fingers in my face, almost spitting their words right onto me. I silently took a step back to give way, and Manager Huang immediately rushed forward to speak up for me. How dare you? This is the new general manager of our company, General Manager Zhao. Manager Huang was winking, so obviously he might as well take flight. Yet some people still didn't get his hint. A few even thought he might have taken bribes from me. One such person was Chun Baiqiang, a die-hard follower of Liang Zhao, who used to be one of my most reliable assistants. He shoved Manager Huang aside and began hurling insults at me with dissatisfaction. Who do you think you are? The moment Team Leader Chu returns, won't you have to obediently fall in line? Don't think I don't know how you got your achievements? Brother Liang already told me everything. You're just a useless, incapable canary who relies on men like a parasitic daughter vine. What makes you think you can boss us around? When Liang Zhao and I were dating, he treated me very well. He would make congee for me in the early morning and carefully take care of me when I got drunk. When he saw me suffering from stomach pain, he would hold me with a pained expression and promise me, I'll work hard and achieve great things in the future, so you won't have to endure so much hardship anymore. He would hold me in his arms and calm me until I fell asleep. So I didn't know that every time I drifted off to sleep, he would sneak out to chat and drink with his buddies, gossiping about what happened in bed between us. It's truly ridiculous. Why would I still feel heartache for such a shameless, bottom-feeding scumbag? I clutched my aching heart, feeling like I couldn't breathe. After 2 or 3 seconds, recalling how Liang Zhao fussed over Chu Yuyu with such diligence, I finally realized that the only thing he ever truly loved was money. I said no more and took a step back. Manager Huang, eager to please me, immediately stepped forward with a dark expression, threw the documents right at the person's face, and roared, Chan Ba Kung, what right do you have to offend our esteemed President Zhao? If I hear such words from you again, get the hell out of this company. The name President Zhao caused ripples to spread across the previously calm waters. After exchanging glances for a few seconds, the colleagues each had their own thoughts, but all bowed their heads and bent at the waist toward me at the same moment. Their faces were a mixture of shock and regret as they spoke in unison. President Zhao, we're sorry. It was our fault. Watching their transformations as abrupt as a magician's sleight of hand, I was left speechless, my throat tightening. Even Chan Ba Kung, entirely unlike his earlier self, dropped to one knee before me and began slapping himself hard across the face in repentance. President Zhao, I'm sorry. I spoke out of turn. Please forgive me. The colleague who had once mocked me, saying I was like a toad lusting after a swan, now smiled ingratiatingly at me. I always knew President Zhao was extraordinary, but to think you're an immortal descended from heaven, what an honor it is to work with you side by side. I heard all kinds of compliments. Even Manager Huang was sweating nervously as he bowed his head to me. I'm sorry, President Zhao. What I said before about you sleeping with men was slander. You're completely capable and talented because you inherited your father's abilities, which is why you've signed so many deals. Please forgive me. Dozens of people from Schillingaling came forward one by one to apologize to me, afraid they wouldn't get a chance to secure a spot. They even started shoving each other, nearly causing an argument. When I lightly helped up the colleague who had been pushed down, others began to punish themselves one after another. They knelt down on the ground, looking at me pitifully, waiting for me to help them up. I didn't accept it and said coldly, who doesn't know how to use moral coercion? I've kept a clear record of everyone who has bullied me. You don't need to do this. After all, I'll make sure to settle accounts with each of you properly. Certain people better watch themselves. Suddenly, there was the sound of something heavy hitting the ground behind me, and the glass door rattled loudly from being struck. I turned my head and saw Liang Zhao leaning against the glass door, his face pale as he clutched his head, his eyes filled with terror. Blood streamed down his forehead, yet he still knelt step by step, making his way toward me. I, however, noticed the vomit stains on his sleeve and thought of the rumors I had heard. It was said that Chu Yuyu's condition had worsened, and over the past few days, she had lost control of her bodily functions. Liang Chao had been taking care of her tirelessly, day and night. Seeing the stains today, the rumors must be true. And Liang Chao had indeed made the wrong choice. 3 days ago, all the employees of the company knelt before me, nearly provoking the neighboring company to report us for holding a cult ceremony. It only settled down after the police were called to mediate. Their blatant apologies, though, had swiftly transformed into subtle flattery. And I, solidly and steadily, took over the position of general manager. After the morning meeting, I returned to my office and turned to Manager Huang, saying, take a good look at the layoff list I gave you. You can start sending notifications tomorrow. As for Liang Chao, he has his own place to go. Manager Huang was sweating on his forehead, timidly looking at me, afraid that I might vent my anger on him. Even as he walked out the door, his legs were still trembling. Liang Zhao quickly became an official security guard. His 6'1" frame, paired with slightly short clothing, made him look a little out of place. He did come to me for help, but I didn't give him the slightest chance. I only heard that he stopped going to the hospital to take care of Chu Yuyu and instead started going to the gym every day, planning to pursue me again. When I went to work at the company, I saw him in an old tank top that exposed half of his arms, holding a vibrant bouquet of red roses and presenting them to me. He just opened his mouth to speak when I cut him off with one sentence. "It seems like the security job is pretty idle, letting you wander around here. Should I transfer you to Africa?" Liang Zhao was immediately intimidated by me, stepping back and withdrawing the flowers. He quickly replaced his expression with a respectful smile, stood at attention, saluted me, and said no more. He's not the only one trying to please me. Some even went as far as taking photos of Chu Yuyu when she was ill and sending them to me. They wanted to make me happy, but when I received all kinds of unflattering photos of Chu Yuyu after work, her expression blank and her figure thin, I was overwhelmed with mixed feelings. If Chu Yuyu were the one with power and influence today, then the unflattering photos sent to her phone would undoubtedly be mine. Just like at the company annual party, when I was forced to apologize to Chu Yuyu in front of everyone. These people have always worshipped only those in power and high positions. They neither respect Chu Yuyu, nor do they respect me. I asked Manager Huang to handle this matter, and he even brought me some good news. The child in Chu Yuyu's belly is neither Chu Tianyao nor Liang Chao's. It is actually a bastard child she conceived with a man outside. The one who leaked the information was Chu Yuyu's close friend. She said that Chu Yuyu personally told her she wanted her child to have a good father, which is why she clung to Chu Tianyao. The information is authentic, and there's even a recording. I sneered coldly and instructed Manager Huang to quickly spread the news. By the next day, I received Liang Zhao's resignation letter. Liang Chao was arrested for causing trouble and committing murder. When I learned the news, I was still in a company meeting, while rumors started brewing in the break room. Who would have thought that Chu Yuyu would be so bold, passing off someone else's illegitimate child as young Master Chu's kid, and even duping Liang Chao? Chu Yuyu originally planned to give birth to the child and use it as leverage to extort Chu Tianyao into spending money to treat her illness. Unexpectedly, upon discovering that she was pregnant with someone else's child, Chu Tianyao immediately set her up, leading her to frequent gambling dens. In just half a month, Chu Yuyu had sold her car and her house, and even while pregnant, stepped into the escort scene. When Liang Chao found out, he brought a group of hooligans to support her business, with dozens of men walking into her room. By the time they came out, Chu Yuyu was barely alive, with paper money for the dead stuffed in her hands and by her bedside. It said that he died on the spot from a sudden illness, but Liang Chao really went too far and was arrested by the police that very night. The mastermind, Chu Tianyao, was eventually sent by my father, in a fit of rage, to work at a company in Africa. I don't think he's coming back. Manager Huang, after understanding the whole story, nervously approached me and said, "President Zhao, please forgive me. I'm willing to resign and take responsibility for my mistake. What did you do wrong that you need to resign and apologize for?" Seeing him stammer and hesitate to speak, I was reminded of a little cat I once raised. That cat had a terrible temperament and loved to bite. Not only did it scratch up the genuine leather sofa I bought, but it also bit my hand fiercely, nearly tearing off a piece of flesh. But I didn't blame it. Instead, I kept it in a cage and hired a professional to train it properly. From then on, the cat always behaved obediently whenever it saw me and didn't dare act out. Manager Huang, like that timid little cat, always puts me in a good mood whenever I see him. Don't worry, this isn't the old society, and I'm not part of the underworld. I will always keep you by my side to help me run the company well. Then, at a critical moment, I'll make sure he learns a lesson. This will be his eternal punishment from me. Ever since I took office, salesman Wang seemed to vanish from this world. I never saw her again, but a year later, I saw news about her. A local woman tragically killed in a love dispute with her boyfriend. Is this moral decay or a distortion of human nature? The news reported that the suspect had already been arrested. Watching Chun Baiqiang on the television, I waved at Manager Huang. "Handle it. Don't leave any loose ends." Manager Huang left trembling, his eyes full of awe and reverence for me. In truth, I didn't do much. I just knew early on that Chun Baiqiang had feelings for salesperson Huang, so I played matchmaker for the two of them. It's just that Chun Baiqiang has a hot temper. He couldn't stand it once he saw salesperson Huang flirting around outside, but that has nothing to do with me. I leisurely picked up the glass of red wine by my side, gently swirled the wine in the goblet, and looked out the window. 3 years later, I officially took over the company from my father and revealed my identity. Netizens flooded the internet with posts congratulating me, and I posted my first message online. All those hidden in the shadows, I will eliminate them one by one.